Welcome back to the show. I'm Kim Foster, and I'm an MD turned coach, a business mentor for my fellow health and wellness coaches, and also the founder of the Wellness Coach Academy. Now, if you're building your business, that's whether it's a side hustle or your main gig, someone has probably asked you, so what do you do? And this one seemingly innocent question can cause a lot of people to feel paralyzed and kind of like a deer in the headlights. It's so awkward, right? I mean, you want to talk about what you're doing because you know that it would be beneficial for you in terms of networking and getting the word out. But how do you answer this question in a way that's actually going to sound interesting to people? Well, if this is something that you struggle with, if you dread being asked the question, what do you do? Then this episode is definitely for you. My guest today is Kris Jones, and Kris is a StoryBrand guide and the founder of Red Door Designs, a website design company. And she was mentored by the StoryBrand founder, Donald Miller himself. And she's got over 20 years of experience and clients like Nike under her belt. Kris is extremely passionate about helping self-employed women to get website copy that sells so that they can multiply their revenue and really focus on what they do best. I'm super excited to share this interview with you because I had a fantastic conversation with Kris. And I know that the wisdom that she shared with me is going to help you not only with dealing with this super awkward question of what do you do, but also with your messaging in general and a website that connects with your dream clients. So let's get into it. Well, hey, Kris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here, Kim.
Yeah, I am really looking forward to our conversation today because we're going to help people. We'll hopefully help them with a number of things, but specifically help them figure out what to say when somebody says, so what do you do? Which I know is a question. I mean, I don't know about you, Kris, but I hear this all the time from my clients and students who are health and wellness coaches. They really struggle to properly answer that question or to just to know how to gracefully answer it or effectively answer it or, whatever. So I'm excited to hear the ideas that you've got to share on this particular, bugbear, how to handle this question. Before we get into all of that, though, I just want to give our audience a bit of context. So I would love for you to just tell everyone about you, Kris, and tell us what brought you to the work that you're doing today and give us all of the background.
Okay, my name is Kris Jones, and I am the founder of a firm called Red Door Designs, and it's reddoordesigns.com. I've been doing this work for about 20 years, and my passion is really around storytelling and simplifying the way we do things in business as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. So I started out years ago in design and then through the years started building websites and recognized this really giant struggle that all my clients were going through around writing for themselves and writing their own copy and writing for their own business. And it was literally time and time again, every call I'd get on, I'd hear, "Why is this so hard? Why, like, I'm a smart person. Why can't I write for myself?" And so, after that happened about, 100 times, I decided to really narrow the work that I do and really focus on that piece. Because when you figure out how to write for yourself or how to get the help that you need to write your own marketing copy, everything else begins to work for your business. And it's a wheel that, it does take some energy initially, but once you've got it clear, you never have to reinvent that wheel. So you do
Mm.
that hard work once, and then it keeps working for you time and time again, and you can repurpose it in on all the platforms on your website and your social media. So I've just found it to be so incredibly effective for my clients that's really my passion, and I help people really create copy in 2.5 hours flat.
Ooh,
So
nice. Mm.
the people that I work with are busy; they don't have a lot of time, and also, they just want it to get done. So the idea of getting to check that off your list within 2.5 hours is like hallelujah.
That's awesome. I love that. And that's really interesting. So you came to it from this design background, thinking that you were going to be, designing beautiful websites for people, and then really discovered in work, like being in the trenches, working with people, that yes, of course, and I think this is why people want to have a website designer too, is to have this really beautiful visual, great looking website. But what you found is that's not even the hard part. The sticky part where people get really tripped up is actually in the messaging and the writing and the copy. Is that sort of what you discovered?
That is so true. And also because I've been doing this for a long time, years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15, um, you could have a beautiful website and it would do well for you.
Right.
And nowadays, really, if you don't have great copy, you can have a beautiful website design, but if you don't have copy that actually tells a story and really connects with people and motivates them to, take action and gets them excited to work with you, it's not going to work for you. And so, yeah, over the years, I really recognized, if you've got your website copy down, and believe me, like coming from design, I am a huge believer in the power of beautiful design. Like I'm
Mm.
all about it. I really appreciate elevated design. But what I found was that design is actually secondary to copywriting, and getting clear on that copy is fundamental to business success. Where if you have a beautiful brand design, it's great, but it's not fundamental to your success.
That's so good to hear, and really that's coming from a designer. So like that's really valuable to hear, because I think a lot of people can dismiss that. We get sort of caught up in like something that looks pretty, but a pretty website, like you say, these days, it's just not going to be enough. It's just
Mhm.
there's anybody can have a pretty website, right? So there needs to be
Yeah.
so much more to connect. So okay, so let's get into
Yeah.
this. I wanted to start by talking about why the issue of starting with handling this question of like, so what do you do, when you get asked this question, why is that particular issue important, and also, how of course this relates to, your website and your online presence and stuff. But why do you think it's important to have your messaging really ready to go, so that when you get confronted with this question, you
Mhm.
can really confidently communicate what you do in a clear and compelling way? Tell me about the importance of it.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head with the
Mm.
word confidence.
Mm,
When you can confidently communicate what you do, so much happens. People immediately trust you. They immediately get excited about the possibility of working with you. They get really clear about the problem that you solve. So if if they don't need that problem solved, they know friends that can solve that problem for you. So everybody you tell ends up, you end up entering into an engaging conversation with them, number one. So it's a lot more fun. Um, but then they become your engine of like, oh, she's the woman who specializes in, helping people with Lyme disease, or
mm.
coaching people through, whatever health issues going on. So um, that's a big one. It's also really important just personally feeling the confidence and having the clarity around what you do. A lot of us know what we do, but we can't communicate it clearly. And
Yeah.
so once you bridge that gap, you just show up more confidently. You stand taller, you're prepared and ready. And the way that you answer the question, what do you do? Once you get that down, those words, you literally use those same words on your social media profiles.
Mhm.
Use those same words on your website. So it's yes, it's important to be able to answer that question, but it's also important because it affects all the other areas where you show up online. Even on your business card, you can put this. So I really encourage people to memorize it. Once they've got it down, put it up on their wall. Um, and make sure it's in your own words and it feels natural to you. The beautiful thing about answering that question is that you want it to feel casual and conversational. And
Mm-hmm.
that in and of itself is just so refreshing. Nobody wants to hear like a robot using,
Right.
4-syllable words in their answers. So yeah, it's effective on so many levels. It's not even funny. It's like
Yes,
it's
agreed.
just this really powerful thing. But um the other reason why it's so important is because as coaches and as business owners and solopreneurs, we get asked that question a lot.
Mhm.
And people are just trying to figure out, what you do or make conversation or learn about you. And what happens is two mistakes happen a lot. Number one, we don't like answering the questions, so we just answer with a two-word answer or a three-word answer. I'm a health coach.
Yeah.
And then the conversation just falls flat and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, where'd you grow up?" Or,
Right.
it's
Shift
just
to
like
something else.
pivot, right? Or, "Oh, those those deviled eggs sure look good over there. Let's
Right.
let's go move
Yeah.
over to the buffet table." So that happens, which is no fun. And then the other thing that happens is what I call the curse of knowledge, which is essentially just you forget you forget that you're so close to the work that you do
Mhm.
that you end up kind of talking over people's heads around your niche or your specialty. So it can kind of be the opposite of the two-word answer, and it can be overwhelming for people to try and digest too much information about a topic that they're not familiar with. So when that happens, you notice like the eyes glaze over and they're trying to track but they can't, and then you've kind of
Mm.
lost them. So
Yeah, I think we've all been on the receiving end of that kind of thing, like where we ask
totally.
somebody innocently what they do, and then suddenly we're getting a whole lecture on like the details of their industry using jargon and all kinds of things that are just frankly boring to us.
Yes,
So yeah, I mean, I think if you can think of okay, don't be that guy, don't be that
totally.
person who just
Yeah.
like blasts this unsuspecting stranger with all kinds of industry stuff. So yeah.
Right, exactly.
Cool. Okay, so what are
Yeah.
the fundamental parts that you have to figure out even before you can create this messaging around what you do? Like what do you need to know before you can like really craft that message?
Yeah. So there are really three parts to crafting that message.
Mhm.
And the way that you really begin this conversation is by getting clear on the problem that you solve. So, who do you work with? Who's your audience? Like, um, you know, I mean, we can even do this kind of live if you want to throw out an example of a client that you have, or some people that you know, but it might be like, I help. P- I have a friend who has Lyme disease, so
Okay.
she's
Yeah,
in my
let's use that
mind.
with
But
an
like,
example. You said
you
that
know,
before.
so the problem might be a lot of people that have Lyme disease um, struggle with even getting out of bed
Mhm.
in the morning. Um, and so, right then and there, I've identified who I work with and the problem that they're struggling with.
Nice.
And
Okay.
so,
Mm.
it's very simple. It's just a one sentence thing. But notice, like, the power of starting with a problem is that our brains psychologically, we are problem solving machines. And so
Mm.
we can't disengage when someone presents a problem to us. We fundamentally, our brains can't disengage until we know that problem has been solved. And that is the reason why we go into a movie theater and you watch a character like Jason Bourne or whoever else, right, has a problem. He doesn't know who he is. And we sit there for an hour and a half waiting to make sure that that problem has been resolved.
Mm.
And so it's the same thing, but in a kind of a more mini format when you're answering this question, what do you do?
Mm. I
Um,
like that.
so it starts with that, and then you really present your service as like the solution to that problem.
Okay.
And so you say, I'm a coach who helps these people with Lyme, um, you know, readjust their diet,
Mhm.
um, and get their energy back.
Mm.
Something like that. Or
Okay.
I have a program, or I have a 3-step program that helps people with Lyme. Notice I'm just talking about my solution. All it
Yeah.
is this is my solution. So step 1 is the problem, step 2 is the solution. I have a program that helps um, people with Lyme get their energy back. Okay, so problem, step 1, step 2, solution, and then step 3 is the success that they get to experience.
Mm.
So they can uh, enjoy the things they love again, and engage in activities with their loved ones.
Oh, I like that.
So
Okay,
so
yes.
part of kind of this is all a miniature story. So we've established ourselves as the guide, we've
Mhm.
established the hero, and we've shown them what success looks like. And as the guide, we show them, I have a process that helps you solve your problem and reach success. So in these like 3 little steps that feel short and simple, there's
Mhm.
so much psychology and so much power that goes on in this little story. And then people go, oh my gosh, I have a cousin with Lyme and I got to connect you. Or, wow, I struggled with that. Or, so it begins a conversation where, who knows where it can lead to. But um, in a perfect world, it will just keep getting you more clients. And you can start also learning what words get people more excited, or get them to engage on a deeper level. So you can kind of play around with it a little bit.
I love that. Okay, so if I'm understanding then, like the non sort of workshopped version of the answer to like, so what do you do would be, I'm a health coach and I work with people with Lyme disease, right? Like that would be just kind of like the flat statement that kind of is the
Yes.
conversation non-starter. Sort of it's like a closed loop, it ends it, and then we're off to the deviled eggs, right? So
Right.
so that's the one but then what you're saying is okay, start with like talking about the problem,
Right.
because you're right, like that's a problem that people, it sort of opens a question in their minds, use tapping into that human psychology, and then people want to know, well, okay, well, and so what's the
Hmm.
solution to that, right? So
Right.
they would say something like, um and this could be like, are you talking about like when people are actually responding to the question, so what do you do? Well, you know how people with Lyme disease, or people with Lyme disease simply can't get out of bed because they don't have the energy. I'm a health coach who works with people with Lyme disease to modify their diet and change their lifestyle so that they can get the energy back. And those are like the two pieces, right? Like the problem, solution, and then the third is the why, right? Like the big kind of like, what is actually success going to look like? It's so they can, right? Like that
Yes,
third
exactly.
piece.
Mhm, mhm, and we really wanna be exuberant about this. We wanna show them, like, part of that role is showing them what's possible. We think in such limited ways that as the guide, you have to show them, like, if you do this, what's possible for you is that you can get
Mm,
back to living the life of your dreams. You can live a life that was better than what it was prior to Lyme. You can, climb a mountaintop if you want to climb to a
nice.
mountaintop. So, again, you don't want to get too detailed, but we really want to get into the hearts and the minds of our people. What do they really dream about? If I've
Mm,
got Lyme, I would really dream about, for my friend anyway, she had to quit her job at Nike. And
mm,
so like I think for a lot of people with Lyme, they are really wanting to get back to work again, or
yeah,
getting back to playing with their kids on the weekends. So we
right.
really want to tap into what's their heart's deepest desire, and then how can we amplify that and really show them that this really is possible for them.
Yeah, because it's a much richer, fuller story that you're telling rather than just the plain statement. But you're not by tapping into all those human emotions and really showing that story arc, you're not going into like it's more detailed, but it's not going into like the industry jargon boring detail that we're talking about. This is just like human needs and universal human experiences. And I would think that somebody who's on the receiving end of that, elevator pitch, they or just that response, they, even if they don't have Lyme or really have somebody who's close to them who has it, they can imagine it because you've kind of painted like this whole story arc of like a character in a movie. Like you called upon that, like character who started with Lyme and actually didn't start with Lyme, but started feeling like having this great full life, got Lyme disease, couldn't get out of bed, lost a lot of things, their livelihood, all that, and then regained it. And so it's that's compelling, right? Like that is, so we're all drawn into those kinds of story, like character transitions and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes, yes. I mean, the way that you experience, whether you're talking to somebody at a coffee shop or a networking event or just out to dinner meeting people, I mean, your life, the way you interact with people totally changes
Mm,
when you engage in this way. The conversations get really real, they get really rich. Then people are very curious or they have a story to tell. So it just everything, everybody wins.
Yeah, it taps
Hmm.
into that natural curiosity, I think, so much more than just like I'm a health coach who works with people with Lyme. So
Right.
yeah, I love
Right.
that. That's
Yeah.
so, and you, I mean, a couple of things that you mentioned there, definitely. I know that you're StoryBrand certified because you mentioned the guide and the hero and all of those kinds of things. Like,
Yes.
is that the framework that you're drawing from to kind of pull in your messaging strategy?
Absolutely.
Mm,
So yeah, I'm a certified story brand guide, which just means that I am certified to basically help my clients understand how stories are told and to craft their own story. It's inspired by a book written by Donald Miller called
mhm.
Building a Story Brand. I do believe every business owner should have that book. It's full of so many good nuggets. But what happens is people read the book and then they're like, okay, I get it. I'm on board. Like storytelling is the answer to marketing. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I just pulled up this page and it's the blinking cursor.
Right, blank
And
page
where do
syndrome.
I, yeah, exactly. Where do I
Yeah.
start? And then we put it off and then a year goes by and then we hire someone to try and do it for us. And then they can't quite capture our voice. And,
Mhm.
it's a challenge. It is. It's hard to do it yourself. And
Right.
it's impossible. Hiring someone else, they can't capture your voice the way that you can. You're you.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, talk to me though a little bit more about this. I'd like to dig into this a bit more. Like why is it so hard for us to write for ourselves? Why are we like paralyzed? We can understand the concept on a cognitive level, of that I need to create the story, I need to position my customer as the hero of the story, I'm the guide,
Mhm.
like all of that kind of stuff. So we can
Mhm.
understand it on one level, but then when it comes right down to it, why is it so hard for us to write for ourselves? Like, why do people struggle with this?
Well, the first thing I want to share is that it's truly hard for everybody, even
Mhm.
for writers. Even it doesn't matter how many degrees that you have under your belt. This is hard to do for ourselves. And the reason is because we are too close to ourselves. To talk with perspective. In order to write compelling copy, you really do need some perspective. You need some distance from yourself and your own business to be able to see, like, this is a good thing to talk about, but this is maybe too much. And so the metaphor that I use is really we are all inside of a bottle
Mhm.
as entrepreneurs, as coaches, as business owners. We're inside the bottle trying to read the label of the bottle. But that label can only be read from outside the bottle. So just by the very nature of like, we're our business, we are us. I am me. I can't write about myself because I'm too close to it.
Yeah, that's so true. That is a
Mhm.
perfect metaphor. I can visualize that definitely. So, if that's the problem though, like what's the solution? How
Yeah.
do we need to get outside the bottle? Do we need to get somebody else read the label to us? Like what do we need
Yeah,
to do with
right?
that?
Well, the beautiful thing is there's really simple solution. But the reality is, as entrepreneurs, we've just only had two options for so many years. We either DIY it and write it
Mhm.
ourselves and try and figure that out, which feels to most like a little bit of torture.
Yes.
And or we hire somebody. I know people who have spent upwards of $40,000 for a single sales page
Wow.
copy, but it's not uncommon to spend 10,000
Mhm.
on a sales page copy.
Yeah.
Um, and yet that person, you know, is, I'm sure, an incredible copywriter, but
Mhm.
nobody can capture your voice but you. You are the only one. So that puts everybody in kind of a pickle, right? What do we do about
Mm.
that? Well, the way to solve that is through a collaborative copywriting process.
Hmm.
And that is why I created my program. Like, literally, just to create, there's got to be a better way that allows you not to have to do this by yourself, because we
Yeah.
know that doesn't work. You're in the middle of the bottle. And also allows you to really inform the process with your, nobody knows your business better than you.
Mhm.
Nobody knows your clientele better than you. You are the voice. So my role in the process is really like, you've got all the information on the inside. You just need somebody who knows copy strategy and knows how to pull those nuggets of information out of you and then organize them in a way, little puzzle pieces together to craft your story for you. And then the process is very collaborative. So we get on a 90-minute call and we go through the entire wireframe of your website and make sure that it's totally dialed in with your voice and the nuances and the terminology of your industry. So it's collaboration. That's really the magic key to copywriting, that feels aligned with who you are, and yet is also really effective at um, attracting more leads for you, filling up your business.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that feels like such a logical solution because it's still then like with that collaborative approach, it's still then coming from you. Like it's your, you understand your clients the best and you understand how want to what ideas you want to put forward and what you believe in. But like you don't have that outside perspective. So to collaborate with somebody who is outside the bottle, who can help you to hone your messaging so that it really is going to resonate and is not just like kind of all garbled because it's just too much about you or whatever other mistakes that you're making, just to make it more clear. So I love that class. So it's not DIY and it's not like done for you where you just kind of hand it over to a copywriter who may or may not be able to fully capture your essence, but
Mhm.
it's more like collaboration with somebody who can help to pull that essence out of you and
Mhm.
make it clear for the wider world. So that's such a great
Exactly.
solution.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's what's really cool about it is that a lot of the entrepreneurs that I'm working with have been dreading this and putting it off for
Mm,
so long, and
yeah.
then they go through the process. And like I said, the whole thing takes under 2.5 hours. So it's quick, but they also, everybody finds it so fun. I have a blast. They have a blast. We're working together. We're getting it done. And then it's done, right? And then you've
Yeah.
got this foundation. Not only is your website written for you, but you've got this foundation of copy that you can pull from, so you can go to your website and pull information for, like I said, social media or
Mhm.
LinkedIn or whatever. Like, you never have to reinvent the wheel. You never have to rewrite it again.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because it goes then far beyond just the website. I mean, the website is one place where your messaging is going to live, but I mean, that core messaging and how you're going to show up, that's how you're going to show up and how you talk about what you do everywhere, like whether it's social media or in person or that like networking event with the deviled eggs, like wherever it is.
Right.
But you've got it straight and clear and it appears on your website just always there visible. So I love
Right.
that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing is really that then your website becomes like a 24/7 salesperson, and it's
Mhm.
working for you. So when you get on your sales calls, people are already queued up and excited to work with you. They just
Yeah.
want to chat and, engage. But you don't have to get on calls and do a bunch of selling because that's already been done for you. And so you get to spend more of your time just doing the work that you really love.
I love that. And then you're also proud to drive traffic to your website because you know that when they get there, they're going to get so much of the core messaging, all the information that they need, rather than get to your website and still feel kind of confused about what it is that you do or how you can help them and all of
Yeah.
those kinds of things. But it
Mhm.
becomes really, because that's the goal, is like you're going to need to start sending people to your website. I know awful lot of people in the beginning, they might create a website but they don't really feel super confident about how it's, presenting them to the world, so they're hesitant to actually send traffic there. So that's not a good thing. You really need to be
No.
to feel confident that your website is doing the job that it needs to be doing.
Yes. One question that I get a lot is really like, okay, if I'm new in my business, where should I be spending my money and where should I
Mm,
be DIYing?
good
And
question.
w- what I love answering this question because it's so liberating, and there's
Mhm,
so many cool tools out there that can help us, especially when I watch what's happened with design over the last 20 years and the invention of Squarespace and
mhm.
Wix and things like that, that just allow people to really build their own websites and feel empowered to go in there and not only build it, but go in and make changes and updates.
Yeah.
And I think it's really an important thing to do. If if that's what you want to do, right? But your website is so critical. So the great thing about Squarespace is their templates are pretty rigid. They're
Mm,
beautiful,
mhm.
but they're pretty rigid in that they won't let you mess up their
Right.
designs. So
So yes, there's good and bad with that rigidity, right?
Right,
But
right,
yes.
exactly, but that's really the good thing about that rigidity is no matter if you're not a designer at all, you're gonna have a beautiful website with
Mhm,
Squarespace,
mhm,
and then put your money into getting strategic copy so the
mm,
website actually works. And then, you know, as we're becoming our own bosses and building our businesses, I think it's important to talk about, like, what role does the website play in all the different things that we feel like
mhm.
we have to be doing? And,
Yeah.
you know, uh, a lot of clients I talk to, they're like, I feel like I need to be on social media. I've got to be doing this. I've got to be doing that. And it's like, my take on it is less is more.
Mhm,
Do the things that you're naturally drawn to doing. But if you kind of imagine a flower, right? So the center of that flower is your website.
mhm,
And all the petals are things that you can do around your business. It might be networking events, it might be going on a podcast interview, or it might be social media. So those are all the petals around, and all the petals point everybody to the middle. Every petal
mhm.
points you to the website. So I really like to say your website is the center of your marketing universe, and everything points there. So if I would say, don't worry about any of the petals. Focus on your website. That's where you're going to get a return on your investment
Yeah,
the
that's great
fastest.
advice.
Mhm,
Yes, yes, exactly. No, that's
mhm,
that's great advice. This has just been such a great conversation, Chris. You've
mhm,
shared so many insights and just such a useful framework of how to approach our messaging and some solutions for all of
mhm.
that. And it's just been such a pleasure talking to you.
Aw.
Before I let you go, though, I believe you have a special offer for our audience, or just tell us where people can go to learn more about you and get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I have two places that you can go. If you are a DIYer and you want to delve deeper into answering this question, what do you do, and kind of crafting your own mini story, you can DIY it with my mini workshop at claritywithkris.com, and that's Kris with a K. So claritywithkris.com is my free offer. It's a 5-minute workshop, and you're gonna get a lot of information from that. I
Mm.
also offer in there a worksheet along with a video, and then I'm more than willing to give your audience feedback. If they want to share the Google Doc with me, I can give them feedback on their worksheet.
Oh, nice. That's
um,
great. Thank you.
yeah, I'm happy to do that. And then if you are a business owner or a coach and
Mhm.
just ready to get your copy done
Yeah.
with you through a collaborative process, you can work with me one-on-one. And to do that, go to grow.reddoordesigns.com. That's grow.reddoordesigns.com, and we will get your copy done in 2.5 hours flat.
I love it. That's so great. I will put all those links in the show notes too so that people can easily find them.
Kim, thank you so much. This has been a real blast talking to
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
such a pleasure. I don't know about you, but I loved that conversation and I loved digging into Kris's approach for tackling the question, what do you do? And also all of her wisdom around messaging and website copywriting in general. I would love to know your thoughts. Is this question something that you have struggled to answer in the past? Do you feel like you've got a more specific approach now for how you can craft your response? Let me know in the comments below this video. And in fact, I would love for you to actually write out your elevator pitch and your response to this question. Let's see what you have come up with. Of course, if you are listening to the audio of this episode, then go ahead and find me on Instagram and share your thoughts with me over there. I would love to continue the conversation about this. Okay, that's a wrap for today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you again very soon.